I got friends who are. I went to school with a bunch of Hispanics. You know, the whole black Hispanic thing is like it's a thing out here in Los Angeles. You know, and it's a. Really, the race relations between blacks and Hispanics is dicey. Um, but I went to school with a lot of Hispanics, and I remember one of them saying he was a good friend of mine back then. You know, we got along really well. And him saying that I remember him saying like he said I'm not racist. I just don't prefer blacks to my own kind, right? And it's the same thing the Asian man has said. He's like he's not racist. I just prefer my own kind. And I think I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. You know, I think that integration and you know, it was only ever blacks who were so desperate to be accepted by another race, the way that we were desperate to be accepted by whites. You know, our goal should have been during Jim Crow was just take your foot off our necks, leave us be, and let us, live. Um, Let us live our lives. You know, I think that's how that should have went instead of us, being so desperate to be able to use a white restroom or a white water fountain, and be able to sit in a white restaurant and sit at the bar or whatever and eat or drink or whatever. It's like, who cares about that? We should have, once upon a time we did have our own industry. Now we don't have that anymore. You know, the Hispanics and the Asians came into I mean, first of all, we came into, I was just listening to something yesterday. Uh, Vader was talking to Steve Austin. I'm not sure if Vader is still alive or not. I'm sorry. I've been a wrestling fan, but it's hard to keep up with some of these things. I was a wrestling fan from, when I was a kid, and I stopped wrestling it when I was like, you know, 16 or so. Which was over 20 years ago now. But Vader was someone I obviously remember when I was a kid. I'm not sure if he's still alive or not. But it was an interview with Stone Cold, and he was talking about how he grew up in Compton, right? And um, also I know that the Bush family at one point, I think the dad, the old man Bush, the first Bush president, had like a furlough or something, and the family was living in Compton, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is that when you think of Compton and Watts and these type of places where blacks, when we migrated from the South, we came and we settled. Now like L.A. They call it South L.A. now. It used to be called South Central, but South Central ended up having a negative connotation because of all the gangs and stuff like that. And but when we first got here and we moved in these neighborhoods, like Compton was if you go back before we came here, it was a white neighborhood. You know, these were white communities and they were nice communities with nice families in them. You know, and then when we moved in, that's when the white flight happened and the whites moved out. Out of these areas to different parts of Los Angeles. And but so we move in and now we take over these communities, and then but the Hispanics come shortly after that, and the Asians don't live in these communities, but they set up businesses in our communities. They set up places. They have Louisiana Fried Chicken is run by Asians. They set up laundromats, set up different places, and of course the Hispanics have all their little businesses and stuff like that. And we don't really have the same type of industry that we had during Jim Crow. And I think, and I talked about it when I talked about Sinners, the movie. that was one of my main takeaways is like that night, and I think that was one of the points maybe that Cooper was trying to make with the film, is that night when the before the sun went down or before the vampires showed up, the time the blacks were having in there at that juke joint was like that was like black utopia basically, you know, and you know we never really got to experience that as free people. I mean, as free people, yeah, but outside of after the end of Jim Crow, because as soon as Jim Crow ended, we decided we wanted to integrate with the white race, and we ended up losing our own industry, our own sense of community. Um, but what was my point? Oh yeah, the black Hispanic thing, right? So um, the blacks and the Hispanics don't really historically haven't really mixed well. The gangs don't mix, you know. Uh, in prison, they don't mix, you know. So I know in prison it's separated by race anyway. But basically, the relationship between the blacks and the Hispanics in this country is tedious at best. Uh, but I went to school, like I said, I mean, I've always got along with Hispanics, right? But I'm sure that none of the Hispanics that I went to school with, they wouldn't, want to see their sisters race mixing with blacks. I know it for like my, I can only say so much, man. But I know that especially a lot of older Hispanics, they don't like the race mixing thing. They don't even like it. If you saw the clip with Duno, the podcast with the social media personality, where he was talking about like even with the Hispanics don't even like it they don't even like darker skinned Hispanics. They don't like them. A lighter skinned Hispanic is considered like a higher class than a darker skinned Hispanic. So but like I said, it's people I went to school with. They prefer their own, but I got along with them well. They got along with the other blacks well. So and they're like, there's a lot of blacks who, you know, they're pro-Trump as far as the immigration thing is going. Before Trump was talking about it, they were basically in their own way. They were calling